Hey yo, whoop whoop. It's your boy, Killer J, coming back with you with another edition of Whoops Up, Whoops Down, the Juggalo movie podcast, or whatever I feel like calling it today. And on today's episode, I have a special guest with me as Humble Monk, as him and I, discussed the film Toxic Avenger, a film that he introduced to me, a film that I have never seen before. So that it was a very fun podcast. Ended up being like 2 hours long overall. I condensed it down a little bit and focused more on the film. When the most of that 2 hours was me and Humble, chopping it up. Easy dude. Um, I thank him again for coming onto the show and discussing one of his favorite films and really getting personal with me about it and stuff like that. And I hope that shows through in this podcast. So shout out to you, Humble. Whoop whoop, brother. Um, some show news to be on the lookout for. Next week is Juggalo Ohio 3. I will be in attendance at Juggalo Ohio 3, so if you see me, give me a what's up, give me a whoop whoop. And let's chat. Let's take pictures and whatnot. And I plan on vlogging there, so just to really get prepared for the gathering. There's certain stuff I want to do, and I think the Juggalo Ohio 3 would be the best time to do that. Other than that, let's, that the next week will be a movie review. Will be out next week while I'm at Juggalo, Ohio. And then we'll just keep on trucking. The show keeps going. And let's see if we next month I can get another guest. Probably try to do once a month, maybe get a guest on the show. So we'll see. All right, let's get to the movie discussion with Humble Among about Toxic Avenger and the outro. I'll either give it a whoops up, whoops up, or a whoops down. So let's get to that interview right now about Toxic Avenger, because I'm glad that Tubi is allowing these old movies that forgotten about it to be on this streaming site for free. I love it. I
Was
love
this
it
your
so much.
first trauma? Was this your first trauma movie at
Ever,
all?
ever.
Really? That's
Yeah. This
fucking
this
fresh. You did
yes,
it the right way. You did it
I
the right
did.
way, man.
Um
Now,
now
wait. Before I even ask you anything about the Toxic Avenger or your thoughts about the Toxic Avenger, my second question is: would you watch another trauma movie or Toxic Avenger 2?
I would watch the series.
Hell yeah. Good. Good.
Especially
Good.
especially since that new movie's coming out. I want to have what Trauma did with it and seeing what somebody else is doing with it.
4, Toxie 4 is really fun. It's so
So
batshit. I mean, they're
before I
all
watched
batshit
it,
insane, but
so I hopped on a space. I do that now and again when I have the time. And Ruby was on there. Cheese House Ruby.
yeah. Shouts out to
She was telling me
House.
about the second film. I
Yeah,
go, hold up, what?
it gets pretty crazy, man.
I was like, he does what with Japan? I was like, stop. I was like, stop. I'm gonna watch the first one, but you kind of sold me on the series now, and then kind of want to watch the cartoon. Just be like, why?
Yeah.
Because
Hey, see what I'm rocking right here? Toxic Crusaders. I'm rocking this for this
and that's
stream.
on Tubi too. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess we
man.
keep Tubi. Fuck all other apps.
So, Toxic Avenger with me, I'll just brief history of
Yes,
Toxic
please
Avenger
tell
and
me your
me.
history about Toxic. Why this fucking film?
So I love this movie. It's like one of my favorite movies ever since I was a kid. That's right, a kid. I saw this movie wildly inappropriately young. um I don't know if it was the Toxic Crusaders that made me want to seek out the Toxic Avenger,
Oh, so you
or if
saw that first.
I might have already been a fan of the Toxic Avenger, and then when the Crusaders came on, I was just like, sweet, there's a cartoon now too. In my memory, that's how it is, but memory's a funny thing, memory gets colored with age. So I was definitely a fan of both of those things though. Like we would rent the Toxic Avenger movies like from the video store. Like basically I would want to go to the horror section of the video store. If we were in a video store, that would just
Okay.
go right to the horror section when I was a little kid. And I'm talking like
They put
four
this in the
or
horror section.
huh?
They put this in the horror section?
Yeah, this was in the horror section of the video stores that I got it from for sure.
It's the
And
happiest horror film I've ever seen.
it's a horror comedy, you know. So
Yes.
but I would go right to the horror section and usually pick a Halloween movie, a Jaws movie, or a Toxic Avenger movie. That was usually
Oh,
my
oh,
go-tos.
okay.
And my parents let me watch horror movies young because really there was nothing they could do. I was like gravitating towards it. Like I mean, that's all I wanted to watch, like literally when I was a kid. So yeah, man, I love these movies. I saw them a lot as a child. They're like almost ingrained in my psyche to the point where I saw Toxic Avenger 1 again for the first time in like 10 years or something when I was like a
Good lord.
teenager, and it blew my wig back with the nostalgia, bro, because I was just like, wow, the shit with the kid. And it's like almost every time I watch it, I get hit with those nostalgia bombs again. So for me, it's a very special movie. It's a very it's almost ingrained in my psyche, you know? Like almost it's fucking crazy. Like, and I just watched it again last night to like refresh it. And it's like those nostalgia bombs going off, you know, like it really is a very special movie. Now, your first time watching it was earlier this week,
I watched it on Thursday.
Thursday. What were let's break it down, man. Let's just get right into it. What were your thoughts, bro? Like,
Okay. Wow. So I've always heard about the Toxic Avenger. It's not like, yeah, I'm a film guy. You know, I did a cult. I did a cult class in film school where we learned all about cult classic films, and I'm surprised Toxic Avenger didn't show up there.
I'm surprised Trauma or Toxic Avenger is not brought up because they're fucking a very important company when it comes to independent or cult film or both. You know that's surprising that it didn't come up.
We even have an option of writing about a cult classic of our choice. I think I did Scarface, the the Al Pacino one. That is a cult classic to the T. Films I've heard about like that, I want to watch it in its purity. Try to find it in a way to watch it. Like I've never watched Rocky Horror Picture Show because I want to watch it in a theater with
With the crowd.
fans.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
that's the gimmick. Like I want to live in the gimmick that got this movie to the hype. Because watching it at home, you don't get the same experience. So I heard about it. I heard people talk about it, and you mentioned it, and I was like, all right, fuck it, let's go. So I didn't
Well,
look.
you mentioning we were talking about the remake, right? And you mentioned you hadn't even seen the original. I'm like, oh, that's what what were we talking about? Clockwork.
Clockwork, yes, we
We
were
were gonna
talking
do
about
Clockwork
Clockwork Origin, which I
originally.
recently watched about 2 3 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's another one that is super special to me. But yeah, like
Well, here's the thing, dude. My wife watched A Clockwork Orange with me, and she made a comment that I think you will enjoy when we talk.
yeah,
Actually, we get into the
yeah,
film because
yeah.
it comes up.
What was the comment? Let's get
Okay,
into it.
so we're watching the film, and we're watching how the film is designing to set up the bad characters. You know, the bozo, slug, and their girlfriend, setting them up,
Yeah,
right? And how lawless and crazy this is, and then killing the kid. My wife looks at me and like this. This is like a Clockwork Orange
yeah,
because
the
it's like
gangs and shit.
it's. But I'm like, yeah, but they're doing this shit in broad daylight. Like some of this shit, like when Melvin is getting like so laughed at, burning on fire with toxic waste. Everybody's like laughing at him.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
this is the world that yes, like this feels Kubrick a lot, like in the setup. Like I can see,
It's a very cruel world
and to
that
me, you if for me the design of this film was to show the practical effects. I think I
yeah.
knew that like trauma films is kind of like taking what Friday the 13th wanted to kind of do. Like the design of that was for this look at the special effects kind of thing.
And the special effects artist, her name is Jennifer Aspinall. She's actually one of the only like, you know, major female special makeup effects artists that really doesn't get enough credit because her shit is killer. And not only this movie, but she also did another movie called Street Trash.
I'll be
Have you
interested to
ever
watch
seen
that.
Have you ever seen Street Trash?
Bro, if I haven't
Oh,
seen, wait, if I haven't seen
come
Todd,
you gotta do that. That's
yes,
another one you gotta do. Like
yes, this is the
maybe
reason
we
why.
that's another one. That Street Trash is so I mean, next level bizarre. Like it. I mean, I can't even. I mean, I
Okay.
can't even. That's a whole different conversation. But
Because I think she's the one that did the practical effects, right?
yep, she did the makeup effects.
It
All like a lot of
mm,
that stuff.
I would say a lot of like the gory stuff was really good. The Toxie's face,
You know what's a fun fact with
they hit
Toxic's
that.
face?
What's that?
So watching Joe Bob last night, I was getting my little facts on. So Joe Bob was saying like that one of Lloyd's like Lloyd has like a lot of like high art background. Like Lloyd went to like Yale. Like Lloyd is like also has like a pretty hoity-toity high art background. He started Trauma in the late 70s making sex comedies. And I think if you watch Toxic Avenger, you can see a little bit of like the goofy sex comedy DNA that is
Oh
still kind of
yeah, yeah. Especially when
in
the
Toxic.
yeah. Oh, especially when we get to the love story of Sarah and Toxie, which I'm like,
Yes.
what the fuck is going on here?
And so he has like allegedly now take this with a big grain of salt. Allegedly there's over 200 references to high art, quote unquote high art, one of them being Toxic Avengers makeup is a Picasso reference,
I can see that.
if you want to get your wig flipped a little bit, which I was like, damn bro,
Okay.
that's pretty fucking crazy, bro. Like I see that though, when you point it out I see that.
Okay, so that you tell me this doesn't surprise me. Because when I'm watching the film, I can already tell they give a shit about storytelling. They give a shit up like I can tell that this is cheaply made, but they're doing something here. Like
Yeah,
there's a reason. Like it's not a catch grab. It's not aping off of anything. It's trying to be its own thing, and like really, it's aware. The film is very aware how cheap it is. It's aware how campy it is, and they will
and it's
play into
using that
that.
though, it's using that though to its
Correct.
benefit.
Right, and that's what I'm
It's
saying.
using
Like
shit.
that's when like you know that they understand, like they get it. Like there's some people like what want to pretend like isn't this like so real? I'm like, bro, I know you know it doesn't look real. Like you play
So
off it a little bit.
the kid's head when it gets squashed.
Bro, that was a hard
So
scene, dude.
so you know the behind the scenes special effects nerdy shit, that was a hollowed out melon that they painted to look like a head with cranberry sauce in it.
Here's the thing.
Which
That's
is
the thing.
that's such a simple solution for that, but fuck is it so grisly and effective. You know
Correct.
what I
Because here's
mean?
the thing. Yeah, it's almost like
It's one of the more grisly. There's two effects moments that are deeply disturbing in this movie for me. That's the first one.
the
And then
dog is
there's
the
the
other one.
dog. There's the dog. And it's not even the initial dog thing. It's the second shot where
Yeah,
they go
yes.
back, where they
Okay,
go back and they hold on to him. I'm like,
yes,
that's fucked up. That is just fucked up.
correct. And then the next
It upset me last night when I
I'm
watched it
sorry.
too.
And remember, the next scene or the next scene of events we see after that is a love story.
Yeah.
After we just seen this dog die,
Yeah.
her almost getting
Grizzly,
raped. Her
grisly
getting,
dog death.
oh my God. Oh. Okay,
It's
so
fucked up.
uh,
And
going
like I was
into it,
saying, I don't know if I said this on camera before we started. The the lead heel in that restaurant scene, the guy with the half face paint, he quit. He quit the movie after they he saw he would. I mean, they obviously got
uh,
enough with him anyway because he's in the movie, but he
I'm
quit the
sorry.
movie after that shit with the dog.
He
It
saw the
upset.
face. He saw his face paint and says, "Hey, nothing wrong with this." He says the dog dies now.
That's
Fuck
only half. Hey, it's only
this.
half. It's only half problematic.
I mean, it's very problematic. It could have any color. Why black?
Yeah.
But anyways,
There's a thing with this movie. uh, There's a thing with this movie where a lot of the heels are like almost Dick Tracy esque
right, and
henchmen. You know what
this
I
is to
mean?
me,
Cigar face,
to me,
cigar
to
face. You
me,
know what I
this is,
mean?
but this is the setup to this movie is like any superhero film that we've
Yes.
seen. So it's just like as it's set up, I'm like, I
And
understand that
let's talk
Bozo and
about this.
Slug are gonna be the reason why this is happening, and like who we're rooting Melvin to win. Because the first 10 minutes is in this fucking health club. Well, not the first 10 minutes, the first 5 minutes, we're in this health club, and people are like the idea of body and stuff like that, and idolizing these.
Body Rock.
That song is
What? How
catchy.
you like Body Rock?
It's
That
catchy.
that comes back quite a bit in the
It
movie,
does.
huh?
Here's the thing:
Oh,
when you
Body
hear
Talk. Body Talk. My bad.
body talk,
Yeah, Body
body
Talk.
talk,
Hell yeah.
I listen to cheap films. So there's certain things I get away with. I mean, I watched The Room many times. I mean, he used the same. But
Yeah,
there's things I'm like, you have it, keep using it, especially if you're gonna be in the health club. So many times in this health club, where I'm like, oh wow. I think the health club was only there to set up the horror a little bit. But I didn't like. Oh, it was trying. The Melvin like doing dumb shit was trying. Like I'm like Melvin, I'm already on your side, but you do like this dumb thing. I'm like, oh man, they made it, and just the goofiness. I'm like,
I love that shit. He's so over the top,
it is.
nerdy, and
I'm like, it's campy, it's
the
campy, it's
ultimate
campy. I'm
nerd.
like, but I'm like, Bozo stresses like he's like, I'm stressing out. I'm like, that guy is playing so big all the time. I'm like, okay, I know what movie I'm in. And then Slug, I kept looking at him. I'm like, man, he looks like a Sheen bro, like a Charlie Sheen clone.
You
Or I
know
saw,
what's you know
or
what's wild to think about though? I want to go back to the superhero element of it
it
and
is.
point out this movie came out in like 84, right? It's before Batman 89. It's
Yep.
before the Spider-Man movies.
Superman was already out.
It's before X-Men. It's before any of that shit. But it largely it really kind of births the whole like layout of how a those style of superhero movies will go with the got to get the origin story out of the way. You got your major heels, your super villains. It really kind of births that, and like a lot of superhero movies, whether they know it or not, like kind of owe that shit to Toxic Avenger, bro. Like it's crazy. It's a really influential movie, like to the superhero genre in like a pretty surprising way. Like
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know. I really like dig it because of that.
So like, I was impressed in that.
One
Like
of many reasons I dig
I
this
kind of
fucking
picked
movie.
up. There's certain things I kind of picked up on, like, oh, this is kind of like, especially the way I once I found out that Melvin is gonna be Toxie, like he's gonna be the thing. And I'm like, all right, so we Peter Parker him, we do this. Like already saw, I was seeing the
Is it
setup. I
really
was in
like a Marvel? It's a Marvel origin story, you
pretty
know? It's
much yes, Marvel. Marvel does a lot with like the science or radiation, like stuff like that. Like, all right, cool. How he gets radiation is so wild in the first place
you
because
want to talk
like
about the truckers doing cocaine real quick?
yes, and the fact that while that is going on, the excuse is that how can we get, that's my question. It was like, how can Melvin get to Toxic? So the first 2 minutes is setting up the town, like, this is Tromo. We
Yeah,
deal with toxic
this
waste
is
here. Okay,
Tromaville.
check. Like, they live in a city where toxic waste is everywhere. Check.
Yeah,
To show me their their landfill is filled with toxic waste with already a home set up. I'm like, wow, Toxie already has a home already built for him before he's even made.
yeah. You can notice
Yeah.
his shelter. I noticed that too, bro.
I'm like, I mean, I appreciate what they did. It was when the horror started. The villains are like so evil. I was like, and there's so much scenes with them being evil. I'm like, I think I got the point. I want these. Once they killed the kid, I didn't need to see more. But they're like, no,
Yeah,
we're
man.
gonna keep bullying Melvin. Keep bullying Melvin.
That shit's rough for me too, bro.
It's
Especially because like that on some real shit, bro. Like that shit is triggering to me almost every time because this movie's largely tied to like my mother in my memory because like my
oh
mom let
man.
me rent this fucking movie so many times. And on some real shit, my mom died when I was like 7 and she was hit by a car. And like so rewatching this shit is like wild to me because it's
Yep.
so tied to me with my mother. And when I was like rewatching, I think I referenced earlier rewatching it when I was a teenager and I hadn't seen it in years. That shit was like, whoa, a different kind of nostalgia bomb because of the it being tied to my mother and the way that my mother did pass, you know. So it was like, fuck, that's kind of triggering. So like, it hit different, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when I was a kid, like fuck, like yeah, it's a rough scene. It's rough. But
there's a lot of rough scenes in this movie, but
they really set those dudes up to be like the worst people possible. They're saying
I don't
racist
know.
shit.
The people who
They're
come in
saying racist shit. Like they are the worst. They are just the worst.
and that's like the sympathies like that. So when we go to the horror scene of Toxie like stalking them, I'm like, bro, why are you stalking them? Just
Yeah.
like there's weird like sometimes and it's after the Sarah stuff. It's like I want to get to Sarah, the girl pretending to be blind. Uh, so much when she's like, I'm not looking at you during the whole like I don't know. This movie is ridiculous, and you're right, Dick Tracy. This is
It's Dick
very
Tracy
much.
villains, bro. It's definitely Dick Tracy villains. Because cigar, once you like realize it's
Well,
cigar
cigar
face,
face.
I'm like, yeah, that's the Dick Tracy type
I think
shit, bro.
I'm like, oh no, it's not even cigar face. It's even the person, the guy dressed like a woman
Yeah,
who
doing kissy
lives the
fight.
gimmick. Yeah, like
I
even like
like
the
that
wig's
shit.
blown off, it's still like it's the fighting style.
I love
It's
that
the
shit,
like
bro. It gets me.
and to me it's like that makes the movie fun for me is like it's, when side bit characters can jump off like that I'm like they gave a shit and sometimes
Yeah.
like that's sometimes what I want in a film. Did you give a shit?
Yeah,
Did you try to
it's like three random henchmen that like it's literally just to set up like this is what Toxie's gonna do, you know? And
but they are also a red herring because you find out the police that Toxie face is actually the villains. The
yeah,
pigs
yeah.
are. They're the one
Yeah,
that
because they're
taking
paying
around.
off the cop at the beginning of that scene. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So and then he tried to like, well, we Toxie saved us. Oh, the kids. Oh my god, this movie is so fucking insane. uh
Now, there's a lot of like I feel like this movie's very juggalo though. If we want to get on that tip for a second, because like Melvin is like the fucking ultimate floob.
yep.
He's like fighting like bigots, like the bullies are bigots. The fucking later on there's a a PDF file pimp that shows up that
Yeah.
Toxie takes care of. Like this movie feels like very like you know he's against the rich motherfucking politician type dude. There's toxic waste barrels involved and shit. Like this movie like always is like
This
very
is,
juggalo to me. Like
I would say so. It's somebody from and it's like almost he's getting the wicked shit, the toxic waste, right? The wicked
yeah,
shit.
man, he's like literally like
He
old
powers
school
up and does
ICP,
what
like crawling out the toxic waste barrels and shit. You know,
and
like
when he becomes Toxie, he's very nice. Like, oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Like it actually helps with his intelligence a little bit. But all people hear is
I wonder if Violent J was a little like inspired by Toxic Avenger with that because they rapping about crawling out of like toxic waste barrels and like living in the toxic waste
it's
dump and shit.
possible.
Like I wonder if because he definitely was watching like random horror movies and getting inspiration because of like shit. What's the reference in the Loons? I think it is. Oh, maybe it's a different one where he references the Freddy Krueger thing, licking through the phone.
Licking through the phone.
You know, like
It might have been that one.
stick my tongue through the telephone. You know what I'm talking about. Fuck, what song is that?
I would
Oh
have to see
fuck.
it.
Anyway, like he clearly was taking stuff from
Oh, the
horror
stalker?
movies and just
Is
like
it the
sprinkling
stalker?
that shit in. Maybe it is the stalker. Yeah, you know what? I think it is the
Because the
stalker.
stalker is all about him doing, and it's weird. Like,
It's one of those joints he references sticking his tongue through the telephone and shit though. And that's a Freddy Krueger reference, you know?
of
Because
course,
Freddy does that shit. So I always like look for like I don't know other sprinklings of horror because he clearly had like an Edgar Allan Poe thing going on too.
I mean, yeah,
You know what I
real life.
mean? He read the riddle box shit. Yeah, you already know. Like he clearly had like a Poe thing going on.
Whatever he was doing, like during that time, he definitely would. I don't know. His mind is like a weird person sometimes, but he's super into wrestling right now. And like a lot of it's wrestling too, and I think he's like wanted to understand the gimmick that they're in, right? You're going to do research. We are the wicked clowns, and using the ghetto as your play area, and you're like, yeah, you're going to use gothic imagery because I mean that's why I enjoyed the first two. Beverly Kills is kind of them really going deep into the finding their voice, so where Riddlebox hit
Yeah.
harder because it's like they're playing around with the clown imagery and being for like the whole Beverly Kills 918, it's almost like a dream he's having. Um, the 17 Dead feels like, feels very horror esque and stuff like that. But yeah, this does feel very Juggalo when you think about it.
Yeah, I couldn't
Um,
help watching it, especially thinking like on some
and that's
Joe
why I
shit.
never felt bad. I felt bad for the citizens, but I never felt bad for the heroes. And like, to me, I was like, that's pretty smart. If you want to show up your special effects and don't want to like kill innocents, right? Because maybe the MPAA doesn't like, because this is '84. MPAA is about to fucking lose their goddamn minds with this shit, with the cutting and stuff like that. But if you paint it in a way like, oh, these are bad people, they deserve it, it's like, okay, you're not gonna feel bad for the racist getting his shit blown in.
Yeah.
You're not caring.
That's why they have to. They really make them. It's obvious he's killing bad people. Like they
Correct.
really go hard in the paint with that with almost everyone. Um,
You want Superman to do that. I mean, and it's the fact that Trauma is like, and we'll show you what happens when a real strong man's beat a fucking human gut. Boof.
and that's that, once again, man, it's so crazy because Superman is the only other major comic book movie to come out before Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, and
It's really, and if
it's
you really
boring.
look at it with that lens, bro, Toxic Avenger is doing a lot of shit early that
And the comic books are doing this. Like
crazy.
the comic books are popping at this time. So I mean, like people who probably reading comic books that are superhero were getting their things off when watching this. If they finally get the hold of this film. And then the thing about this film is ballsy. I have to applaud how ballsy it is to have a I feel like the diner scene lingered a lot. Like I felt like you could have cut a little bit. The tension was there, but
Yeah,
they
like
might have
maybe the
prolonged
dog
it a little bit. I
cut
was
that
like, "Can
dog foot
Toxie
out.
get here, please?" Like this is like once when the dude flips the blind girl about the raper, I'm like, "Oh wow, we really got to do something right now.
Yeah,
We're not doing this, are we?" And then that's when things happen. Oh, even the dog happened. I was like, "Wow, they went there. They killed a dog, bro."
thing's the worst in the movie. Like even the little kid shit being
Oh,
triggering. This still the dog thing for me is the worst.
and here's the thing, and just the people. Oh, and that was probably the nastiest fucking restaurant I've ever. And I was wondering as we're talking about this and about how the bigger enemy of this is the mayor. The mayor is the problem. He's corrupting Trauma and pretty much purposely putting toxic waste in harm's of his citizens. Where I'm like, no
Yeah,
wonder they're dumb and adequate to this behavior because that taco shop is the worst run restaurant ever, and everybody around the taco shop is dancing, having a great time. It's a good day. This is a fucking nightmare. Like
yeah.
I walk in here, the guy literally is taking something out of his fucking pants to drink it, and then touching the food. I'm like, bruh, something wrong here. So when Toxie comes around, you're like, you're the only sane person here.
You realize it's moments like that. You really realize it's the whole world that's like fucked up. It's
Yes,
not just like it's
yes.
not just like these characters in this scenario. Like it's this whole world. Like we're in a weird ass. Traumaville is its own universe.
And I appreciate that. But because it's like it's doing its own thing, but it's speaking on things in our own, like things I can relate to. Like there's still a human. They're telling a human story here. It's not just about the practical fits. There's a fucking story. And I
Yeah.
am following along. And now does it go places where I'm like maybe I wouldn't go there? Yeah, but that's me. And this is this film, and it's telling me like it sets up these bad villains to be like, all right, here we go. Like it's almost like that first 10 minutes. If that's too much for you, go on. You're that kid. Just move on. Or are you gonna like continue ride with that car and continue this movie because they're gonna get it, kind of
So
thing.
why this movie even happened, Josh? So like Lloyd, you have to understand Lloyd's sensibilities. He was making these sex comedies and like the major studios started making their own sex comedies like Porky's and shit. And
Yes.
so he kind of was like almost going out of business because like the major studios were doing a better version of what he was doing. So he's like, fuck, what do I do now? And Lloyd and his business partner read an article where they said horror movies were dead. And Lloyd saw that and was like, basically took it as a challenge. And so that's how the Toxic Avenger actually became a thing. He wanted to make a horror comedy and show that you can do something fresh with the horror genre. That um, I think he really accomplished that goal, man. Because there's not a lot of stuff, especially at that point, like the Toxic Avenger. It really did a lot of stuff for the first time that, like, I don't know, man. It's a really special piece of art to me, bro. Like, I love this damn movie.
Can I say something that's pretty
Yeah,
shocking,
yeah,
maybe?
for that shit, bro.
So you said 84 this came out, right?
Believe it's 84. Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what else came out in 84?
What?
A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Wild. Man,
Right? So you got to think about it, right? You're just telling me that the horror is dead. I think Wes Craven also took it as a challenge.
yeah,
He did Nightmare on Elm Street. New Line, small company, bet on their film. It blew up. There
yeah.
might be a universe where maybe
Holy
Nightmare on Elm Street doesn't get made. People
dog,
see
OG
this
Elm
film
Street.
because I think this is a better made, like story wise. Because like I like Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one.
But
That ending, that ending
both
sucks.
budget films.
What's that?
Both low budget films.
Correct. And they did kind of more practical effects, and they pushed a little bit further. I mean, like the sex and stuff like that, Nightmare, and I mean, but if I had to choose, I like this movie better than I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I think
Yeah.
that's
Especially
pretty shocking because, like, I think
holds up.
Nightmare. I think Nightmare 3 gets the formula right, and I feel like that is the formula you should do. Freddy Krueger is in Nightmare 3, and I don't think they've never gone back to that. They always want to go back to the first one and say that is the godsend. I'm like, no, 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 no. 3 is, because if 3 was the one that went mainstream, like it wasn't the first one, it was the third one. So we need to treat the third one as the first one, honestly, because
Yeah.
that's when it gets the concept right. Boom, and then they drove it to the ground. Which I'm kind of glad they didn't do it with Toxic, because I'm looking forward to 2 and 3 because it's the same creators, right? They who are doing 2 and 3.
Essentially, yeah. I think Lloyd does all of them. I
Okay,
think
so if I'm getting the same person doing these 3 films,
I
right?
believe I'm on board, and maybe a different effects team for some of those movies, but it's definitely Lloyd directing all of them. I
Cool.
would.
So look, that means I'm getting the same sensibility, a man who knows his character and kind of, and and I feel like the first one did well enough to warrant, two,
Honestly, bro, I haven't seen 2 or 3 in a real long time. I love 4 to death, so I've seen 4 probably in the last 10 years or something, maybe 10, 15 years. But it's been a real long time since I've seen 2 or 3. So I think I gotta go revisit all fucking 4 of them now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna. It was I would say it was a very enjoyable for me, to the point where I would own a a hard copy of this. I mean, I've watched Clerks. Like I'm so like already when I was watching the Toxic Avengers, like I was willing to give it the film what it there's a gimme. Like there's a film that will say you get one gimme where I will accept one thing here and I'll go with it. Now, if you try to do it to me again, no, 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 stop, stop, stop. I'm out. I'm out. But the Toxic Avenger never did that. Like it told me
Who
the kind of the premise, and like that. And like I said, that first 10 minutes is like in or out, and I was like, I'm in. And whatever they did, I'm like, all right, they're justifying it. It got a little weird when one of the girls took the photos of the dead people and started masturbating. I'm like, why are you?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
keep
one of the
telling
heels.
me. Oh, it's interesting. Interesting that you said that they used to do sex comedy, like sex porn, like in the 70s.
Did 4 I think they did, like, I think Joe Bob said last night that I was watching that shit, that they did 4 sex comedies, but then they started making shit like Porky's, and they started making mainstream versions of
I
what
watched Porky's. My mom got me Porky's. That movie is actually kind of weird.
you think they were on coke creating this movie? Think there was a little cocaine
They were
involved?
on something. They were on something. Coke, but the other thing is like everything had a reason. The only problem I really had with the film is when Sarah is entered. Like after I had to accept that this woman is not like she's blind. You're telling me she's blind. I just had to go with it. Okay, fine, fine.
That's why she loves him, because she can't see how ugly he is.
Here's the thing. And my reference was The Thing. Like, I really in the Fantastic Four movie, like that happened. That was a plot line that The Thing was dating a blind girl. Whatever. Couldn't put glasses on this woman. Just do that. That's what most people do. Glasses. I'm blind. Cool. Didn't have to see your eyes. Anyways, um,
She's pretty good. I feel like she's pretty good in the movie, though. I think she's a little over the
yes,
top. It's a
a
little over
little
the
bit,
top, but
a little bit, and it's like them like courtship a little bit. It's like, oh, this happy music after like almost a rape scene happened. We saw a dog die, and it's like now we're happy, good times. And then after like, and he does this little jig. I was just like,
what do you think of Toxie's voice? Af- After how
there was
fresh
no
is that
setup for
voice?
that. It just happened. I was like, okay.
I love that, man. That's one of the funniest jokes in the movie to me is like his voice gets like he's ugly as fuck, but somehow his voice gets super heroic.
Why
That,
not?
that shit's
He got
funny
super
as
strength.
fuck, bro.
Wait. He got super strength. And here's the thing:
Yeah.
as a superhero fan, radiation can talk to them. They're like, oh, in my eyes, just radiation in my eyes. All of a sudden, I'm blind. Just that.
Yeah.
So if Toxic can get radiation and somehow survive and go through puberty, maybe the radiation put his puberty in line, and that's
Mm.
what Melvin needed. That I love
Kick his
that joke.
puberty into because the mom does say when after transformation, she does say like he finally went through puberty or something, right? Like
Yes, that's a line.
the
Yep,
mom does reference puberty.
yep.
That's an
He does.
interesting way to look at it. That probably is there on purpose. Yeah.
Well, yeah, these people knew what they were doing. There's a lot of subtexts like that. Like, there's more. It's not just about the deaths and the murder. There's things you can like as you're watching, you can pick up like boom, 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 and especially dialogues and stuff like that. Like, no, all right, I'm
That's what a
taking this
good
transformation as he is like the voice, like he's through puberty, he's stronger, and like and more into sex, like fucking, like he's into that.
man now. He's a man now, though. You know, he's
You
a
know what I'm
big
saying?
strong
Like,
man
yeah.
now.
That's how I'm supposed to treat this radiation. So I'm like, the radiation created this superhero man from this weak person. But yeah, I
Yeah.
can see it because.
This weak flooby ass boy named
But then
Melvin.
then okay, I was buying it. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna let Toxie be happy because like I just saw the first 20 minutes of this kid getting bullied and he's side questing right now. Like
Yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna take a side quest and fall in love. I'm like, is he going to realize that he's bored and is like, I'm going to murder again? Because it almost feels like
Yeah.
he does that. All right, I'm done with the side quest. I've made him like she loves me for me. Cool. Now back
That's
to the
my
murder.
murder mission.
Yeah, because then he goes and that's when the girl like masturbates the picture, and that's when it becomes a horror film now. Like
Yeah.
POV shots, like Halloween. I'm just like, oh, now we're
That
in it.
one girl he's like stalking in the health spa and
Yeah,
he's got like the towel over his head and shit. That's straight up Halloween shit, bro. They're like
yeah.
straight up doing shit right
I
out of Halloween.
Here's the thing. I appreciate you Toxic Avenger of always, referencing Halloween. That film is very influential. Thank you. It wasn't needed. You didn't. You
I like
didn't
that
need.
shit, bro. Because
Okay,
it's like putting like different genres in
I
there, you
almost
know.
want to
It's
say.
a blender of genres in the first place. Now you got like a little like specific slasher
I,
spliced into the movie.
I think I would have been okay with it more if they would had it happen before the whole Sarah sequence, because like Sarah's like, "Oh, I love you," and they're having sex, and the next scene, Toxie is choking a woman, like choking her out. I'm like, dude, this is fucking wild. I'm here to protect you. Next scene, I'm choking and harming a woman. I know how they set the woman being bad, but I'm just like, wow, ballsy like that. You don't. I don't know if you wouldn't see that in a mainstream film. You wouldn't see. I build you as a hero, and the next scene I'm like blatantly murdering somebody.
Yeah. I mean, there's that the scene in the dry cleaners that really feels pretty insane too. Like that one's a little bit later on in the movie where that one's like a setup though, right? That's like a way to set Toxie up.
Yeah, well,
That shit's pretty crazy too though.
he does kill her, and it makes Toxic feel like, oh no, I killed an innocent. We were like,
Yeah.
actually, no. And the fact that he only goes into murder rage, which is juggalo shit right here. The only time he has the urge to kill when he's around bad people.
Yeah,
When
he
he
kills
like,
bad.
yeah, so it's almost like here's the drums of war. Now I'm knocking at your door, kind of thing. um, where like he gets this urge. So when he's at the dry cleaner, yeah, it was to set him up. And I almost like was suspicious of the doctor because he was trying to basically give the audience an understanding what the hell is going on here. Like, why is his voice changed? Well, this is because blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe I for some reason I'm like, there was another villain. I knew like this doesn't feel like the like for some reason I felt like he should have got rid of Bozo and Slug earlier. I thought there was gonna be a bigger bad. I
There's
thought
probably in that section of the movie, that's probably a way to tighten it up a little bit for. But the movie's like not long. You know what
no,
I mean? The movie's only
it's
what, an
under an
hour
hour and a half.
under that, right? It's like an hour and
Right.
22 minutes or some shit.
It's almost as long as we've been talking right now.
We're gonna talk longer than this movie was for sure, bro.
Yeah. So
That's fucking crazy to think about.
yeah.
Yeah, bro, we're about to be right now. We're literally about to hit the hour 22-minute mark. Right now, we're gonna talk longer than this movie was.
Officially
Officially, right
on
now.
this recording, maybe not in the actual podcast,
Yeah,
but
maybe not in the edit. Maybe not in the edit, but right now on the recording.
longer. This shows you how much we love you, Toxic Avenger. We were willing to
Yeah.
talk longer than your movie.
That's some nerdy ass shit, boy. We talking longer than the movie.
This is dangerous for me sometimes. Well, I'm gonna go to roll like this because I could talk for hours about stuff like that. Because the movie, I had so many questions. I'm like, why are we so obsessed with this fucking health club? But once you explain, they film things that they know they could do.
Yeah.
They did porn, so I'm like body. They understand the autonomy of the body. So when they did outside stuff, I love the fact they hide Toxie. They really want you to hide the face. Ooh, a lot of these shots, and I'm like, maybe the person who I don't know. I guess I had to buy once he became Toxie. I had to like ignore the fact that his whole body's not a radiation mess. It's like it clearly is a big dude painted green. Whatever.
But just like burn marks all
Yeah,
over him. Like essentially like
it almost looked like they put camo paint on him. Like it was
yeah, really,
an
really like
army guy.
his whole his
What I did
polka
enjoy,
dot ballerina outfit.
if they didn't continue to, I enjoyed the mop.
Yeah, yeah, the mop's dope, right?
Right, because that's still for some reason it makes me feel like that's still Melvin. Like if I feel like if he didn't do the mop because they kept calling him Mop Boy. That mop is pissing me off. The whole
Yeah.
reason why Bozo and Slug targeted him because he mopped in the hot tub.
Yeah, he dips it in the hot tub. Yeah, yeah.
Even though like those four people in the hot tub is probably the nastiest shit in there. That mop ain't harming nobody. Why is Melvin mopping the showers?
Hey, you gotta who knows what's going on in those showers. That place, I mean, purely speculation, that I think that place has some freaky deaky shit probably going on in those showers.
Oh,
We saw some freaky deaky shit going on. I'm
okay,
pretty
so
sure he's
exploitation
he's
film
jizz mopping, Josh. He's jizz mopping.
and Toxic Avenger. They're setting up all the villains are pretty much in that opening fucking like as we're doing the credits. You see two gay guys who own the salon, and they're just in their thongs at the club, just having a good time. So if you're telling me that's just a sex club, oh, I would buy it. That place is
There's
fucking
definitely
insane.
freaky deaky shit going on in that
That's
club.
where the bad people hang out and fuck. I don't know.
Everyone's fucking in that club, in my opinion, except for Melvin. I think everyone except for Melvin is fucking in that club.
Even the owner. Wait. There's an owner. Is the owner the mayor? No.
Is he the owner? He might be.
Because there's a person that yells at Melvin like, "Guy, do this," and that's when he like, stop. Like, I'm trying to think because yes, he is because he's in the shot in the salon. He's getting his massage done, and there's a lot like a big long sandwich as big as him around him. Yes, I think the mayor does because I think he hangs out in there.
The mayor owns like the whole town type vibe. He's almost the king of the town.
Oh, okay. It's okay. So you know how in Scarface it's the Babylon Club, right?
Yeah.
This is the Babylon Club of Trumbo.
Yes. Yeah. Totally.
To the point where there's a Gordo character as the mayor.
Totally.
Awesome. Okay.
The mayor is definitely the king heel. He's definitely the biggest heel of the movie for sure. He's the Lex Luthor. He's the Joker of the movie.
I just love how big he like. I just love how like there's different like it wasn't. Well, also I enjoyed about the film is like the variety of people, like weird looking people. I guess it's just like
Man,
they like
normal ass people, normal ass faces. You
I
know,
would say
that's
like
my
normal.
favorite.
Like they try. It feels like a lived in town. Like of course
Yeah.
the mayor's the biggest. He's the big boss, but he's fat as fuck because the responsibilities is just him gorging himself now.
That's one of my favorite things about like independent or cult films, though.
Yeah,
Like getting real ass people in that shit. Like I'm not that big of a fan of like earlier John Waters shit, but what I can appreciate about earlier John Waters shit is getting real ass people like in those movies. Like that shit's fresh as fuck to me.
you
Yeah,
know,
man. Any wrapping up type beat? Any final thoughts? I guess we should do.
I'm glad that you picked this
I got
movie.
all my. I literally got all my notes
Yeah.
out. I think here.
Oh, another cat.
Ooh,
Hello.
that there's yeah. Look at this, a big old Preston right here. What's up, dog?
I like how different.
Um,
So I like how
I
your
do
cats are
have
all
one
different.
last note. That was a pretty cringy ass moment that I want to
Go ahead.
reference. Probably the cringiest line that Toxie has in the whole movie.
Oh, please.
No ticky, no washy. Oof.
Yeah,
Yeesh.
that makes that death worse because he's
I was like,
innocent.
yikes. That was the best. That was the best punchline we could come up for that one because there's a lot of punchline kills. You know, there's
Which
a
is
lot of like
once
it's like
again.
Freddy Krueger, which is wild to think about because it's before Freddy Krueger really started doing the fucking punchlines. Once again,
Come on, man. There's a connection here, bro.
Toxic Avenger, but ahead of its time.
Listen,
Once again.
I think it's things like this that keeps movie like that alive. Yeah. So I'm definitely glad that you picked this movie. I was geeked and I was excited that I even enjoyed it a lot.
I'm
Even
glad you liked it, bro. Because it was gonna be like, it
yeah.
was gonna be we're gonna like, all right, well, let's
I'm
just
not
talk
a
about Clockwork, I guess. If you
hey,
hated it,
listen, yeah, I am a film. I study film. I love film, but I'm not a pretentious asshole. Sometimes it depends on what is
that's
your
me. That's
aims.
my gimmick.
I guess it's what's your aim? What are you trying to, when you're telling me the story? What's your aim? You know what? That'd be good to end this as does this movie pass the Juggalo test? And then like yeah,
100%,
100%.
100%, bro. Yeah, I mean, he's killing he's killing bigots, he's killing child molesters or the PDF file pimps, as I said earlier.
PDL PMs.
Yeah, he's a fucking hero, bro.
Yeah, to the point where I
I
want.
I love the monster. I love the monster hero. What is that? The T-shirt? I heart the monster hero.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
heart the monster hero. Damn it.
And the kids were just like, "Oh, he saved us," and all they were all there's like, "You're gonna have to shoot me." And I think the mayor was like, "Okay." I was like, "Yo!"
He's like, yeah, let's murder all these children.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
and
cool with that.
I forgot about this. Like the straight Nazis, like the police are
Yeah,
Nazis.
bro. Yeah. Bigots, bro. Like straight up, straight up bigots. Like they literally are the fucking
Yeah, so
heels. Like,
and that to me is like the whole. If you once you accept the film for what it is and you enjoy the ride, you're gonna find yourself rooting with Toxie. By the time
yeah.
you're gonna be like, you'll be doing that dance with him, the jiggy, or whatever they want to call that with Sarah at the
Oh,
end of the movie.
we should bring up the new movie a little bit real quick.
Yes,
We touched on that a little bit.
yes, yeah. So I want to talk. So this movie, especially now, after watching this movie, I am highly interested in us meeting back up and speaking on the new,
Yeah, we should totally do that.
just the new film. Right, we're going to talk about it, but I
We'll
will.
we should do. We should meet up and we'll talk about the new one, but we'll also talk about because I assume by that time we'll have both probably slowly worked our ways through 2, 3, and 4, so we can kind of talk about all that shit.
You want to
How's that?
do? You want to
How's that?
do? Okay, I wouldn't mind. We set up to time to do a retrospect where we go through each film, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts. That'd be
We can do it
interesting.
that way too. We can do it that way if you want to like go through each one.
It should be fine because like that film don't come until August in theaters, and
That'll
that,
give us time. I figure.
yeah, and I'm seeing you in couple, and like I'm seeing you next week. When
Yeah, bro.
this comes out, I'll be seeing you next
Fast.
week, and
Shit,
then
bro. That's right.
right, and then when the newer film comes out, I would have already seen you then too because of The Gathering. Man, that was such a fun time with Humble Among discussing the Toxic Avenger. There are certain things that I cut out of it that I wish you guys could have saw that me and Humble really get into discussion, especially um, we spent probably the first 40 minutes talking about everything but Toxic Avenger when we first linked up, so that was pretty cool. I'll keep that in the archives. Um, but yeah, if I spoke this film Toxic Avenger so glowingly that it definitely gets a whoops up for me. I mean, this is what somebody could do with film, that gives a shit, that wants to try and aim for something. It's so non-mainstream. I think that makes it so fresh. And even today, you can watch it and see what they're trying to do. It understands that it's, low budget, but it uses it as advantage for the comedy, and it really showed off some of the special effects that weren't going on right now. During a time, where a lot of that special effects stuff were made for horror, like the Friday the 13th, and this came out towards the, like, chapter 4, I think, came out in 83, 84. And then it's just amazing how the film can still stand this test of time. And um, I'm actually looking forward to coming back and meeting Humble, like, back in this setting, and talk about the second and third and fourth film, preparing for the remake and see if what the remake could do. I mean, with Peter Dinklage, I think that would be uh, an interesting watch. But that's the episode. Thank you for watching. If you like what you've seen, please like and subscribe. Share it to homies that want to talk about movies. This is a big movie space for Juggalos. Um, and we're gonna keep trucking. There's tons of movies I want to do, and maybe once a month we'll bring a guest, and maybe they'll introduce a new film to me. But that's our time. I'll see you at Juggalo, Ohio. Whoop whoop. Much clown. Motherfucking love.